you're an adult, say if you're a 35-year-old man with a family or a 35-year-old woman with a family and a job, and you want to learn a new skill, what is the best way to force your brain to accept these new patterns and learn this quickly?
By attacking two separate parts of a process. The first one is, if you want to learn and change your brain as an adult, there has to be a high level of focus and engagement. Regardless of how agitated you feel, you have to lean in and focus extremely hard. Now, the reason for that is that there's a neurochemical, norepinephrine, also called adrenaline, same thing, that's released in the brain and body. Most people back off at that point because they feel this agitation. But we have to remember that that noradrenaline was designed to get us into movement. That's the purpose of noradrenaline, to take us out of stillness and into movement. And then the other thing we have to do is we have to take that elevated level of alertness and we have to focus it. And there's a second neuromodulator called acetylcholine, which is secreted from this little structure in the base of the forebrain when we visually focus on something. Or in the case of maybe if you're doing auditory learning, when you focus with your auditory attention. There's a little compartment of neurons in the base of your forebrain that doesn't like to release acetylcholine on a regular basis. It's
greedy.
It's greedy, and it doesn't want to use that. If you're a child, it'll drain your brain with acetylcholine. But as an adult, 30, 40, up to 8.
Why is that?
Because Mother Nature designed us to learn what we need to learn and then do that, reproduce and die. I mean, not to be,
how rude,
dark about it, but you can sit there and just ramp up your level of urgency through purely psychological means. You could take an ice bath. You could do high-intensity breathing, anything that brings your level of alertness up.
Can I ask you this? If you were going to try to improve your ability to get better at something, when would you use that ice bath or the cryotherapy? Would you use it before? Would you use it afterwards?
Definitely before.
Before.
Before the learning. What we're talking about is a two-part process. The first part is the learning trigger. The learning trigger is gated by two things: adrenaline, which is also norepinephrine, same thing, and acetylcholine. And so you need that level of alertness up, and you need acetylcholine released at the location in the brain that corresponds to what you're trying to learn. So things like supplements and certain nutrition regimens can assist the process for sure. There's no question about that. Things like alpha-GPC, caffeine will bring up the adrenaline and kind of anything to raise that alertness.